your Christmas at 100 stores in Knollwood Mall, St. Louis Park.
Wrap it up.
More savings, more selection at your More Floor store, Jerry's Floor Store. Cabin Craft Homestead, the hottest in textured plush, in stock in a variety of colors. Also from Cabin Craft, Caprice and Briarwood, affordable gold label carpets with stain resistance. Save on the inlaid beauty of Armstrong Designer Solarian and Designer Solarian 2. Select patterns in stock with discounts for immediate delivery. Buy now and get installation for the holidays at your More Floor store, Jerry's Floor Store, Spring Lake Park, Burnsville, Minnetonka, and Oakdale.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
The debate in Washington this afternoon, was it a smart idea to deregulate the airline during the Carter administration? Charges that both service and safety have dropped since then now has Congress exploring the idea of re-regulating the industry.
WCCO Television presents Don Shelby, Pat Miles, and Bud Craylor. This is the 5 p.m. report.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll have details on Congress's look at the airlines a bit later, but first, the official release of the Iran-Contra report.
That report has been 10 months in the making. In fact, we watched the first phases nationwide as Congress held televised hearings into the controversy. The findings were finally released at 11 this morning, Twin Cities time, and they include two new items. One, that U.S. arms intended for Iranian moderates actually went to Iran's Revolutionary Guard. And two, that one of the so-called Iranian moderates involved in the negotiations actually masterminded the kidnapping of CIA agent William Buckley, who later died in captivity. The report says, we quote here, there was no direct evidence that the president was a knowing participant in the effort to deceive Congress and the American public, but the president's actions and the statements contributed to the deception. And it goes on to say that the common ingredients of the Iran-Contra policies were secrecy, deception, and disdain for the law. The report's conclusions were not unanimous, however. 8 House and Senate Republicans on the panel issued a sharp dissent, calling the findings, quote, partisan and hysterical.
It just kills the majority to have to admit there was no smoking gun, although they're still looking under every chair and every couch and every closet they can find.
We believe that the president is responsible for the actions and attitudes of his staff.
However, the Senate panel chair called the report fair and balanced, saying President Reagan's continued silence about the report may imply he does not object to its findings. White House officials, though, say Mr. Reagan still plans a response to the document. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating whether airliners need improved warning systems in the wake of Northwest 255 last August. Experts this afternoon are giving more testimony on the accident in hearings near Detroit. Evidence suggests a takeoff warning system failed to tell 255's pilots that wing flaps were set improperly. The FAA disclosed it's looking into whether there should be more backups for the warning system. Earlier, a Northwest pilot testified he'd heard the flap warning in a cockpit 2 hours before it crashed. In Washington today, the airline industry defended its service record.
At the same time it was doing that, the FAA defended its air traffic control system. Criticism of both has been increasing recently in Congress as lawmakers consider whether or not to re-regulate the airline industry. Skip Loescher attended hearings on Capitol Hill today. He has details now from our Washington newsroom. Apparently we have some technical problems. We will try and return to Skip a bit later in the program. Minnesota Attorney General Skip Humphrey today threatened legal action against Northwest Airlines if the carrier does not respond soon to consumer complaints. Humphrey, an unannounced candidate for the U.S. Senate, held a news conference at the airport today to say he has tried unsuccessfully to resolve hundreds of complaints against the Minnesota-based carrier. The Attorney General suggested Northwest set up a toll-free consumer hotline, hire a full-time customer service agent, and add a consumer representative to its board of directors. The company, meantime, refuses comment on Humphrey's charges. Canterbury Downs officials today told the Minnesota Racing Commission the track needs to restructure its debts or face the prospect of going out of business. And at an afternoon meeting, track officials presented a plan to ease some of the red ink.
Debbie Ely has just returned from that meeting. She has the details here with us now.
Don, Pat.
Canterbury Downs has had 3 poor years. In 1985, it lost $1.5 million, $11 million in 1986, and it's projected the track will lose $7 million or more in 1987. Earlier this month, the track failed to make some payments, most notably a payment on what's called a sinking bond. As a result, the track fell into default, and the banks that held $46 million worth of public bonds called the bonds. Today, Canterbury Downs officials told the Minnesota Racing Commission of a plan to refinance the track's debts. The track has obtained new financing in the form of some private bonds. The refinancing also provides Canterbury Downs with a $3.3 million cushion in 1988.
It's a very critical year for the racetrack, and we have sufficient financial wherewithal to get us through 1988, but absent certain changes, obviously the pari-mutuel tax being one of the more important ones, 89 and 90 could be problem years for the track.
A lot hinges on the strength of the 1988 season and the outcome of that pari-mutuel tax in the legislature. The legislation would allow Canterbury Downs to keep more of the money bet. Another reason for 1988 being a make-or-break year is the fact that new competition is entering the picture. A second Minnesota track is in the works for Little Falls. There is a strong push for dog racing in Somerset, Wisconsin, just across the border. And now several Indian reservations in Minnesota are proposing off-track betting of races simulcast from other states.
What can Canterbury Downs do now?
They are aware that they have a very poor image, and so in the last couple of months they have hired somebody to come in and help reshape them. They're doing a lot of surveys, a lot of focus groups to find out what the bettors like and dislike about Canterbury Downs.
Okay, Deb. Thank you very much. Chrysler Corporation is recalling 180,000 Jeeps because of potentially dangerous tailgate window defects. A recall includes several model years of Jeep Wagoneers, Cherokees, and Grand Wagoneers equipped with an electric tailgate window. Keys to those electric windows apparently sometimes jam, forcing the windows to keep going up. At least 3 children have been killed by getting caught in those windows.
Well, the topic in Washington today was re-regulating the airlines. As we told you earlier, Skip Loescher attended hearings in Washington. He is live now with a report for us. Skip.
Pat, these hearings were not scheduled as a response to the Northwest crash in Detroit or the more recent Continental crash in Denver. But the heat does get turned up when scenes of an airline disaster like the one in Denver last Sunday are fresh in the minds of lawmakers. On the House side, Congressman Jim Oberstar's subcommittee heard the General Accounting Office blast the FAA for underestimating the number of air traffic controllers needed to help keep the skies safe.
But even the levels authorized by the Congress may not be sufficient to meet needs of each facility. The first item is the standards need to be revised to better reflect the staffing levels managers need to operate their facilities.
The FAA has hired more controllers this year, and there are plans to add still more in the future. But it does not want Congress to mandate its level of manpower.
I need the flexibility to deploy controller resources at critical facilities when problems arise and dynamically respond to changes in air traffic flow nationwide.
McCarter also claims new computers will improve the ability of controllers to handle the ever-increasing number of airline flights. But the FAA did admit that some control centers are understaffed half the year, and it agreed to hire a private sector firm to help it revise its staffing standards. Meanwhile, a Senate committee heard industry officials claim that airlines are providing more flights with fewer delays every day, although at least one angry senator chastised the industry's spoken hub system, which he says adds to passenger delays. Congress wants to improve airline service and safety. It is now considering a number of ways to accomplish that, but re-regulation is strongly opposed by the White House, as are efforts to mandate changes by the FAA. Pat?
All right, thank you, Skip. Now stay with us as the Wednesday 5 continues. We're going to tell you about some hot jewelry that fetched some cool prices on the auction block in Minneapolis today.
We'll also have some new findings about the effects on smoking on women. The story is part of today's edition of Healthline. That will be coming up.
Here's a double good color watch photo offer from Walgreens. Get a second set of big 35mm 4x6-inch show prints free, including a free $1.99 value album. Or if you choose, get a second set of regular size color prints for a nickel a print. The second set choice is yours, only at Walgreens. Save over $1 on Planters at Walgreens. Save again with Planters mail-in rebates. And enter the free Dollhouse Sweepstakes. Planters on sale through Saturday at Walgreens.
When you need to go to work on mornings like this, it's nice to have a Honda parked in the garage. No matter how cold it gets, you can depend on a Honda to start. The Honda Snow Thrower. It's even got track drive so you won't slip or slide in deep drifts. And at half a ton a minute, you might even get to work on time. See all the Honda Snow Throwers at your Honda Lawn and Garden dealer. 'Cause at Honda, good things run in the family.
Starting to build a home library? Here's a great way to do it beautifully and inexpensively. The Masters Library Collection. 10 volumes at only $12.98 each, filled with the works of the world's great authors like Shakespeare, Melville, Twain, Steinbeck, Faulkner, and Poe, each handsomely bound in leather and imprinted with gold leaf. The Masters Library. A great way to build a library while keeping your building costs down.
Great savings on Masters Library, $12.98 each at B. Dalton Bookseller.
You can call me Books.
People who search hard for the best vacation all come up with one answer: MLT Vacations. We deliver dreams.
Former Speaker of the House Tip O'Neill underwent surgery for rectal cancer in Boston today. O'Neill was described as upbeat before the operation. Doctors say they are optimistic for the 74-year-old. They diagnosed his cancer quite early. It is possible, though, that O'Neill will require chemotherapy after today's surgery. We have several topics in today's edition of Healthline, including an effort to find out why your skin ages and also the effects of smoking and drinking on women.
Here's our health and science reporter, Tony Vigneri, with those details. Tony?
Kind of, Pat, a study out in today's New England Journal of Medicine leaves little doubt that smoking is the dominant cause of heart disease among women. The study was conducted at the Harvard Medical School. 100,000 women smokers were examined during a 6-year period. Now, these were women who smoked a lot and women who smoked only a few cigarettes a day. And what they found was that the group had a 2- to 3-fold increase in the risk of heart disease. Local smoking experts say this was bound to happen.
Women really didn't start smoking heavily until after World War II. So men were smoking heavily in the 20s and 30s in America. And so the diseases associated with smoking are coming 20 to 30 years later in women in large numbers.
National figures show that more young women smoke than young men, and that's exactly the same situation here in Minnesota. Women who consume 2 mixed drinks a day may be 40% more likely than others to develop high blood pressure. That survey was conducted by the American Heart Association. Women aged 35 to 59 were questioned. Doctors say they do not know why alcohol causes high blood pressure, but they say the message is that heavy drinkers should cut down. The researchers also found that women who eat more green leafy vegetables and some nuts can cut their risk of high blood pressure. A study on how and why our skin ages is about to get underway in the Twin Cities. The Minnesota Clinical Study Center will examine the use of a synthetic vitamin A to determine whether or not it alters the photoaging of the skin. The center is looking for people to participate in the study. Now, if you're interested, you can call the center at 786-0567. That's 786-0567. And finally, a California nutritionist has found that fish oil may not be so great after all. Fish oil capsules have been touted as being able to lower cholesterol in the body, but the California study has found that the capsules actually raise the so-called bad cholesterol. Now, other researchers and doctors in the country still maintain that fish oil capsules do help cut the risk of heart disease.
What does photoaging of the skin mean?
Photoaging means when the process from your skin, soft, nice, goes through that process of where it starts to get a little more tougher, a little more wrinkled.
Sort of like tanning of leather.
That's exactly right.
So, like, what was that number again?
The photo, yeah, let's get that.
We both want to get into that test program. I wanted to ask you about the mixed drink issue. Is it the alcohol or is it the mixed drink? So you may say it was wine or beer in the same alcohol content.
Wine or beer or any type of alcohol.
So it's the alcohol.
That's exactly right.
All right, thank you very much, Tony. Seems to be countless schemes to get people to quit smoking. Now, some children in Coon Rapids are getting into the act with a balloon launch this afternoon. 300 students at Adams Elementary kicked off their Adopt a Smoker program. Each child will have a cigarette-smoking parent or relative or friend sign a contract to stop smoking for 6 weeks. Those who succeed we'll be given a prize. And, you know, it is D-Day tomorrow.
Right, coming up, yeah. Stay with us now as the Wednesday 5 continues. We're going to check the weather with Bud Trailing.
And we're going to take you on a grocery shopping spree to compare the best prices in the Twin Cities store. That'll be coming up.
More savings, more selection at your More Floor store, Jerry's Floor Store. Lunch with a friend won't hurt the beauty of Philadelphia's northern and southern lights. DuPont Stainmaster Protected for easy cleaning. A plush salad at a great price. Vernon Park from Philadelphia, in stock in a wide range of colors. Reunion plank flooring from Bruce will add traditional beauty to any room. Choose from several colors, patterns, and styles. Buy now and get installation before the holidays at your More Floor store, Jerry's Floor Store, Spring Lake Park, Burnsville, Minnetonka, and Oakdale.
This Christmas, you'll experience the hoopla and the hassles chasing after those so-called good buys, but you can still be left in the dark. Where can you find value without the hassle? Our own hardware. We've got loads of great gifts. Like this First Alert smoke detector with UL-listed horn and test switch, priced at $7.99, battery included. Or a GNB Champion maintenance-free battery for quick starts in any weather, just $59.99. So come in from the dark and see what you've been missing at participating our own and how-to stores.
You've probably heard about the Wholesale Club, where people who operate restaurants, service stations, stores, and churches buy merchandise at prices below their normal suppliers. Listen to what they have to say about the Wholesale Club.
It's fabulous.
We keep coming back because of the prices.
Excellent. You can't beat them.
Now through December the 24th, come in and rediscover the world of wholesale buying with this free buyer's pass at the Wholesale Club. Where do you think restaurants buy these?
4 Twin Cities locations.
We're in Boston at world-famous Maison Robert restaurant. And we're secretly replacing Robert's freshly ground coffee with mountain-grown Folgers crystals. Will it be rich enough?
It's delicious.
It's Folgers crystals.
I'm shocked. Because, I tell you, he only drinks fresh brewed. He can talk about how great the coffee's been tonight.
This tastes like fresh ground coffee.
Mountain-grown Folgers crystals. Coffee rich enough to be served in America's finest restaurants.
This tastes just like fresh brewed to me. I can't believe it.
A Hennepin County judge has found a Minneapolis police officer not guilty of assault charges. 31-year-old Tim Savior was accused of firing 5 warning shots at 3 alleged gang members while he was off duty last February. Savior claimed he thought one of them had a knife and so fired to protect himself. Savior, who has been working desk duty since the incident, has been a police officer for 3 years and still faces a number of possible misconduct charges within that department. The suspect in a weekend murder in Isani County is in police custody this afternoon. St. Louis County authorities surrounded an abandoned mobile home northeast of Duluth this morning and took the suspect into custody. Royal Sanford was wanted in connection with last Saturday's death of Ronald Dean and the beating of Dean's wife, Susan. Sanford is being held in the St. Louis County Jail. Well, it's not Tiffany's or even Christie's, but for 50 bargain hunters and jewelry hounds, the Minneapolis Police Department's property warehouse was where the action was today.
The department held an auction to auction off all the jewelry it had seized from burglars, jewelry that has never been claimed by its owners. Mike Strand has the glittering details.
Treasure hunters worked the tables for more than an hour, taking notes on the best stuff and hoping to get the drop on rival bidders. The goods ranged from rings and watches to silverware, brass, and foreign currencies. Some of it stored in police hands since 1982.
And nobody claimed it?
No, there is no way of identifying it. It could have been taken in thefts or burglaries from other jurisdictions, and we were not able to match it against reports made.
$80, $80, $80. Last call, $80, $80.
Auction versus retail has its risks, however. First, all sales here are final, and there's no guarantee it's authentic or even works, but you can save a bundle. For example, today's big-ticket item, an 18-karat gold Rolex watch. Retail price, $7 grand.
46 last call, 46 I'm gonna sell it. Are you all done? 46, you know, we get 4,600. No, my 45 is back there, Bob, and 4,600, 46, and I sold it 4,500.
The winner, a St. Paul man, bought it as a gift for his wife and an investment for himself.
Anybody that knows anything about diamonds or the value of gold, if they know the retail value and they're willing to pay 30-40% below retail, it's a bargain. Why pay $7,000 for an item when you can get it for $4,500?
Proceeds from the auction go to the police pension fund. This was the first year the auction was held here, but officials say they're pleased with the turnout and hope to attract more bidders in the future. Mike Strand, WCCO Television News, South Minneapolis.
Organizers of today's auction say they were pleasantly surprised by the haul they made. Some $17,000 will be added to the police pension fund. What may be the first fallout from the stock market crash today? Says housing construction fell 8.2% in October. That is the biggest decline in more than 3 years. Analysts say stock market jitters and rising mortgage rates contributed to the drop.
For grocery shoppers on a budget, a critical piece of information is which grocery stores have the lowest food prices. To answer that question, we survey those prices from time to time, and our latest findings will air tonight on the 10 p.m. report.
First, we've asked our consumer reporter, Jim Newman, to give us a preview of what we're going to learn tonight. Jim?
Thank you, Don. The results of our latest grocery survey make it appear that the battle among stores to be the low-price leader is really heating up. Our University of Minnesota volunteer shoppers bought some 50 items at 8 grocery stores in the Twin Cities. We shopped for exactly the same list of groceries in each store. What we have found is that it's really a horse race between stores as to who has the lowest prices. The bills we got for our 50 products at the 3 least expensive stores in our survey were within $1.50 of each other. The implication of that fact is that any of those stores might have been the winner of our survey had we used a different list. What it all seems to boil down to is this, that the certain stores in town have done a really good job of holding the line against inflation. According to our calculations, many of the stores had a far lower rate of inflation than the Consumer Price Index average for grocery stores nationally. Of course, this year, as in the past, we found that the shopper does sacrifice some services and atmosphere by shopping the lower price so-called warehouse supermarkets, but if you're interested in saving money, so what if it's a big warehouse with lots of groceries stacked to the ceiling?
I'm going to coin a term. I'm going to call it a swing item.
Excellent.
Okay?
Go ahead.
The swing item in all of this list that might have cost more or less at each store. Was there a trend there of what that was?
None identified. The university picked these figures apart to try to make as much sense out of them as possible, and there didn't seem to be one item that you could avoid, although ice cream and Coca-Cola or some other kind of soft drink did add tremendously to that budget.
Okay, we'll be watching tonight. It's always interesting. Thank you very much, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Now stay with us as the Wednesday 5 continues. Bud Kraling is going to join us up next for a look at the week's weather.
Okay, honey.
Can you tell who hasn't had their Kellogg's bran flakes?
Hang in there, honey.
Well, some people feel a little sluggish if they're not eating a balanced diet.
Oh, boy, am I sluggish.
Kellogg's are the only bran flakes with fiber and a full day supply of iron to help balance your diet. And that's one great way to help fight that sluggish feeling. So maybe you can tell who hasn't had their Kellogg's bran flakes
Great shot, honey.
and who has. Kellogg's bran flakes, the fiber and iron cereal.
We're at a famous restaurant outside Chicago where we've secretly replaced the coffee with sand and ground up clamshells. Let's see what happens.
Relax, Monsieur Andre. This is all to prove a point about how well the Regina electric room cleans beautiful bare floors. Zip, zip, no more clamshells. Now, if the Regina electric room can do such a good job here, imagine what it can do in your home. Just ask Monsieur Andre.
Watch out. The freshest idea in mountain-grown coffee is about to get bigger.
We had a fresh idea, and it hit you like a brick. It's that 2 pounds. Yes, now you've got your pick. And add a pound of coffee for double bricks of flavor, double rich aroma, double taste to savor. Mountain-grown Folgers in the 2-pound brick. The freshness hits you. Hits you, the 2-pound brick.
Folgers' new 2-pound brick. Regular or decaffeinated. An even bigger idea in fresh coffee.
Just in time for the holidays, it's the Price Right sale at Menards. Classic area carpets by Blue are on sale now. Give your home a warm, traditional touch with these rich, timeless carpets. Save on Easy Care Olefin nylon carpets, now just $55. Or choose the soft luxury of natural wool carpets, on sale now for just $109. Spruce up for the holidays and save at Menards. You build America's heartland at Menards.
What a nice sparkler of a day. I think it was nice sun on that snow.
A little icy this morning.
Yes,
though,
it was. A few slippery spots, I'll tell you. Turned out to be just a little over 1.5 inches of snow, kind of a high water content, a third of an inch of water in that snow that fell, and the cold temperatures last night caused some interesting patterns on some of the grasses that we still have around the edge of the yards. 23 was our minimum temperature in the Twin Cities this morning, but I found the cold spot for you. Went out to Gunnison, Colorado, where the temperature was 13 degrees below zero. That's 36 degrees colder than it was here in the Twin Cities area. Well, we are 34, the sky partly cloudy, humidity 85%, winds from the south at 10, dew point at 30, and pressure's falling from 30.16. It's partly cloudy, temperature now at 34 degrees. All over the country today, there's a lot of sunshine. There was some snow, too, today. Parts of Oklahoma, northwestern Texas, an inch of snow at Gage, Oklahoma, a few rain showers in central Florida, and then a mixture of rain and snow lower Michigan to the northern part of Indiana. Before noon today, it was 70 degrees at Portland, Maine, but they've dropped off to 59 in their present temperature. But there was a record warm minimum temperature this morning at Miami, where it was 77. 82 was their afternoon rating. Half-inch rain at Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, 64 temperature. Windy day at Niagara Falls, winds over 30 miles an hour, temperature 45. And an inch of snow at Amarillo, Texas, 34 this afternoon. San Diego was 74, Cutbank, Montana, 40. And Lander, Wyoming was the afternoon winner for the cold spot at 17. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy. We'll be around 21 overnight. Southwest winds at 10 to 15. There could be a little snow late tonight and into the early morning hours. But tomorrow, most of the day, will be clear to partly cloudy, 37 for the high, and gusty winds. And then the Friday forecast of clear to partly cloudy, 37 maximum, and kind of a bonus day. We've got the Saturday forecast with a chance of rain and snow. Some bonus.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Bud. We're going to be back to wrap up the Wednesday 5 in just a moment.
But before we do, we'd like to check the time for you right now. It is...
Let's see here. About 26 after.
26 after.
Twin Cities Toyota dealers want to be #1 by month's end. They want a deal like never before. Right now, save like never before. Save up to $1,750 on selected 87s and 88s, maybe more. There are hundreds of carryover 87s. You could save thousands. Drive home a limited edition 4x4 with $650 worth of options free. Or select an 87 carryover and save like never before. Immediate delivery, on-the-spot financing, great selection. All at your Twin Cities Toyota dealer. Hurry!
The two came from out of the West. One was big and lean, the top sirloin from Cattle Company. The other was tasteful, Italian, shrimp scampi. And now they're coming together to form one legendary dinner with a baked potato and a fresh garden salad. All for just $8.95. Top sirloin and shrimp scampi. Our Italian Western combination. Only at Cattle Company.
Webster's new Universal Unabridged Dictionary was originally published at $79.95. But now, you can get it for just $19.95 at any B. Dalton bookstore. $19.95. That's an incredible savings of $60 off the publisher's price. And just think, with the $60 you save, you can buy a lot more books.
Webster's new Universal Unabridged Dictionary, published at $79.95, now just $19.95 at B. Dalton Bookseller.
You can call me Books.
Okay, honey. I think we're ready.
Warning, if this holiday season you find yourself constantly entertaining, then you should know about Super Value's Holiday Alert Sale, where everything you need is on sale.
Stock up for the holidays. Libby's canned pumpkin, 16-ounce can, only 49 cents. And assorted frozen banquet dinners, 89 cents. Or Fleischmann's margarine, 1-pound quarters, just 89 cents.
Before you're eating out of house and home,
Okay. Next shift.
come to Super Value's Holiday Alert Sale.
Well, we have a little snow on the ground, a little nip in the air, and it could be time to start thinking of holiday cheer. To help you get in the mood, you can go to the conservatory in downtown Minneapolis, where the Junior League's Festival of Trees will be on display. The 50 decorated trees will light up tonight about 6:30 and be on display through Sunday, and admission at the door is $2.
Those are Christmas trees?
They were supposed to be.
Christmas trees.
What did I say?
No, I
It's
think...
already here. It's,
Yeah,
we're
that's what you alluded to, and that's what I just couldn't believe. We're talking about decorated Christmas trees.
premature by 1 week each year. Next year, it will be the year before, the week before.
We'll be telling this story in August.
And admiring those trees on videotape too then. A preview of some of the items forthcoming in a half hour from now on the 6 p.m. report.
Half of the drinking water in Lakeland is contaminated.
I'm Daryl Savage. I'll tell you why it happened and what residents are doing about it coming up on the 6 p.m. report.
Attorney General Skip Humphrey today threatened legal action against Northwest if the airline doesn't respond to consumer complaints. I'm Pat Kessler. We'll have that story at 6.
A part of our 6 p.m. report coming up in 30 minutes here on WCCO television. Now Dan Rather and the CBS Evening News.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting. Now it's up to the special prosecutor and the grand jury. Congressional investigators have put out their final official report. In secretly sending weapons to Iran and looking after taxpayer money, the report concludes President Reagan failed to do what the Constitution requires, that Mr. Reagan is ultimately responsible for what happened, from his secret policy of paying ransom to Iran to swap U.S. weapons for hostages, to the secret skimming of profits to Nicaraguan rebels and others, that if Mr. Reagan didn't know, he should have. The bipartisan majority also concluded flat out that top officials around
World View.